I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. Now, I know to do what we do, you gotta be able to take abuse. You gotta be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you gotta be able to have people disrespecting you. And you gotta smile and you gotta pretend like that's okay.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Rock and roll.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Rock and roll, okay.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Oh, wow. Wow.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Oh, wow. Wow.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Long time no see. Good evening, B's, G's, NB's, Peens, Vagines, and in-betweens. Maybe good evening isn't the right way to put it, but it's now dark here in the UK, and I wouldn't imagine it is yet over in these states. Yes, Dice, thank you for noticing. It is now dark. Yes, I have everything sort of figured out for isolated, just me and you, or me streaming discussions. In the future, I will probably have some version of this, I don't know, cut into 3 different pieces. Pardon. Gray, I forgot that I think the first time we had a discussion together on camera was in regards to that Chris Rock moment. And it's just funny, you brought it up in the rundown or the lead up. And I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute. We have some history with that moment, but does that not mean you're one of Al's greatest hits? No, I taped over it with some porn. But yes, hello, Sean. Welcome back. Good to see you again after such little time. Hello, Ryan. Okay, so bear with me as I don't know why this is, no, that's kind of bad. Bear with me as I'm learning things on the fly. And this will be, I don't know, diluted. Yeah, so I'm going to try to be a bit more active. I don't want to say very active, but more active than I certainly was. That's for sure. On Discord, we've opened something for show business for like articles and stuff if we want to talk about. And I have to go there at least once a week. So if you're interested in chatting and or suggesting stuff to cover on either Weekend Live or show business, join the Discord. Or join if you just want to BS about me, 31 and 31, so on and so forth. Patrons, if you go to my Patreon page, there is some extra advantages to being a supporter of the channel. Some rules. I guess you can make, I don't know, emojis and shit. I am not selling being a supporter of my channel very hard. Massive apologies. But yeah, so I'm going to try to be a bit more active on Discord. My Instagram, if I have pictures, they go up. That's all I can tell you on Instagram. And Patreon, obviously, you guys knew about this event last night, 2 nights ago. I get lost in the time translation. But we're going to talk about 3 separate films in this stream. And I would like to cut these up for, isolated purposes. And what I'm going to do is, as opposed to normal live stream rules, if this doesn't go off without a hitch, which is seemingly impossible at this point, this will stay up for a full week. Normally stuff that I record on the weekend and not show business. Show business stays up for a pretty long time. Normally, if I record something on the weekend or stream something on the weekend, it is a supporter-only VOD. This will stay up a little bit longer. And as I transition whatever I take from this stream and make 3 separate movie review videos, this will then go down. And you could see what I cut. Patrons like to give me shit about my Lost video being half as long. But I don't know. You got twice as much of a video over there? Apologies, I didn't fix my throat. Either Gray or Dice, before we get going, would one of you or both of you mind being a bit of a guinea pig for me? I just want to see if maybe I figured out the audio part. You don't have to be camera ready. It would simply be us doing an audio discussion on Discord. Everybody would hear you, though. So if you're okay with that, just know that the second it goes through, you're going to be live. Yeah? All right. So we're going to try this. This is where I take the video down because it doesn't work. But let's see if... All right, so that... Holdy. Stalling, this is bad. Come on. Where would I have any of this? So I see. Can you tell I'm not very familiar with Discord? This is an issue. I'm afraid I'm literally in the shower at the moment. What are you doing watching YouTube in the shower or listening to YouTube in the shower? And stop touching yourself. It's fine, but beware of electricity. I don't know if I can call and see if that works. Does it do that? I'm calling you, Gray, and you're live. The hotline. Caller 95. Get ready for some free Mudvayne tickets. Oh, what happened? This is bad. Yep. I'm living the ADHD millennial life. That's hardcore. Do you do your toast in the shower as well? Or the bathtub? Would that be the thing? Hello? Okay. Just be wary that you should be live, public, audible. If it works, there's a 50-50 chance it doesn't work. So fair warning. Please say anything to let people know that you are here.
Sure. I'm talking. I'm testing. I think you got everything working. I have faith in you. I'm sure this is going to be just fine. Yeah.
There's a delay, so I don't know how long it will take.
I just heard it on the other headphone that I have. So, yeah, it seems to be going through, man. I think you got the audio.
You hear you.
I can hear me.
Okay.
It's weird. It's always fun listening to yourself as you're talking. That won't cause confusion. But yes, it seems to have gone through.
Which of these three have you seen? If at all?
So, definitely Late Night with the Devil. Lisa Frankenstein is awesome. And I can't remember the third one.
Bleeding.
I did not see that one.
Okay.
I did not, unfortunately, see that one.
Do you mind sticking around to talk about the first two?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we're doing this on the fly. That's not on the fly. That was prepped. Okay, so what do we have here? We'll start with Late Night with the Devil, which... Oh, I have it. I did have it. I'm doing everything on the last second thing. Okay, directed by Cameron Carnes and Colin Cairns. I might have that wrong. They both have the same last name. Cameron and Colin Cairns, starring David Malkian. I know him as the guy.
That's Malkian.
Is that how I pronounce it?
That's how I've been pronouncing it. That's Malkian. That's how I've seen it, like in the interviews. People are saying that, so I'm assuming so, but I could totally be wrong in correcting you. I don't know.
I'll take it because he's a good actor. He was in The Suicide Squad, and I remember him from The Dark Knight as the guy who was a little Looney Tunes who was dressed up like the police officer.
Yeah. He always has kind of amazing performances. But yeah, those are the two that kind of stick out in my mind. But he's been like a bit part in so many other things as well.
Okay. So what were your thoughts on Late Night with the Devil, Gray? Oh, wait, I'll read the synopsis first.
Oh, nice.
The live television event that shocked a nation. A live broadcast of a late night talk show in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. It's an interesting way to lead that up. Das Malchen. Thank you, Jacob. Letterboxd has it at a 3.5. Really? Okay. So Letterboxd, it's a 3.5 or 70%, and I currently have it at 3 stars out of 5. It's got a lot of gimmick to it. I know, Gray, I think you liked it a bit more than anybody else I've spoken to. I haven't spoken to any of my YouTube movie kids yet, but...
yeah, I don't know. I think I'd give it like a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I think a lot of it was like right in my... I don't know. What would you call that? Like, it's right up my alley, if you will. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of overlap in other things that I enjoy. So, yeah, this just seemed to work on so many levels for me. And it was just different. I think anytime there's a bit of horror that's a little bit different, I don't know, perhaps I'm a little bit more charitable with it. Okay. But we have a mutual friend who absolutely hates it and would give this less than a 1 star. He just is saying everything about its AI and, yeah, just not enjoying it. So, yeah, I'd be interested to kind of hear how you landed on a 3.
Wait.
Apparently, it's all over the place with people.
Well, between the three of us, it's what, 4, 3, and 1. That's fascinating. I am not well educated on what is AI in the movie, but I thought it was just like the owl stuff in the background.
So our mutual friend, I guess who doesn't have to be unnamed, Patrick, he's convinced that the exposition and the voiceover at the start of it is also AI.
Oh.
The only controversy that I've seen is that they're using these images that are kind of the background and kind of coming back from commercial. These kind of owl images are 3 AI generated images is what this film is getting in trouble for. But there are a bunch of people speculating that AI was used a bit more. And our mutual friend seems to think that it was really the exposition and the speech in the beginning that kind of set up the exposition.
That was Ironside that did the voiceover, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Michael Ironside. Or it's supposed to be. It's at least credited to Michael Ironside.
Okay.
I don't know.
So
I guess not everyone's convinced.
Michael Ironside lent his voice for the AI computer to write the rest of his. Yeah, Dice is saying the intro voiceover is Ironside. So whether or not,
it's billed as him. I believe it. It didn't take me out, but yeah, it's definitely a sticking point for a few.
It's fascinating what takes people out of it. I mean, I understand it. If you think it's AI, that's sure, but if it's not AI, why would that take you out of it? But I've heard people say that show don't tell, but the way it's presented, the gimmick of the movie is it's like found footage with benefits. It's this found VHS or depending on beta, depends on what the TV studio used. It's
an attempt at it.
Yeah, it's an unaired Halloween episode of this Night Owl show, and they give you a little background on the host and his personal life and why it matters that the events of this movie kind of affect him. But I mean, it's no different. I would say it's even a little fleshier than something like Blair Witch or insert, Paranormal Activity, insert found footage thing here.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more akin to Dice brought it up in chat, but Ghost Watch. I don't know. It's this UK show. I don't know if you ever saw that one. It's kind of fun, but it's kind of the conceit of kind of like found footage or an actual haunting, but they've got like real newscasters involved in it. So I don't know. This felt like in that same vein a bit, with it being like a talk show.
Yeah. When we watched it, Emily told me about Ghost Watch, which aired here, and a lot of people thought it was real because it came out in like 1992 or something. And like you said, they used real newscasters, and apparently Emily said that it's it could be a remake for all she cares. And except that special, the Ghost Watch thing, played more of a Cannibal Holocaust, Blair Witch kind of thing, where it was like, oh, this is real. But you would think people have learned by now with Orson Welles and all this other stuff. It's fascinating how much people will just buy into anything they see on TV or the internet, for that matter. Did I lose Greg?
Yeah, it definitely has that kind of War of the Worlds legend behind it as well. But I don't know. It's an interesting flick as well, or event, I guess. Yeah, Ghost Watch. But, it has a lot of impact. And I don't know. I guess people aren't saying this is just meh. Like, it is impacting people. The people that I know that don't like it really hate it for some reason. So, I don't know. I guess that's kind of good. It's not just nothing here. It's something, I guess, somewhat polarizing.
Is it just I'm asking the wrong person. Well, so they give you the well, it's not really a spoiler because it happens in like that prologue where the guy loses his wife, and she has like he's a late night talk show host who's second place to Johnny Carson. Ongoing, and what is it? His wife a couple of weeks before she passes of cancer is on his show, and then
Yeah, so
dips after that?
he took 1 month off, but it's kind of unclear how long he's been back since then. But yeah, his wife, who's a non-smoker, she had lung cancer, and she did do an appearance kind of explaining it just before her untimely demise. But yeah, there's a kind of a lot going in there. One thing that you kind of swept over is the whole like Bohemian Grove thing. So there's like a lot of kind of occult stuff going in here.
Yeah, the owl thing, right?
There is this whole cult of Abraxas, who also has to deal with the Bohemian Grove thing. Basically, it's a club that gets together and they worship this kind of owl god, which, if you kind of look up Abraxas, some of Abraxas's depictions have also been owl-like, and supposedly it's kind of like the god amongst gods or god of gods. So it's weird. So this cult of Abraxas also kind of had this little girl so they all did kind of a suicide pact, and they were doing human sacrifice, and the only survivor was this girl who seems to have a spirit in her now. So one of the guests that they're going to have on this special show to really boost the ratings is this possessed girl and the rescuer / documenter on that. But this Bohemian Grove thing, like, it kind of keeps coming up, and there's a bunch of different layers to it, and there's so much symbolism that they're using, both at the beginning and then at the end. Like, the symbolism is just off the charts. But there's a lot kind of going on with that whole thing. And that's kind of the part that intrigues me. I didn't think that they'd use something real, kind of like the Bohemian Grove thing, and kind of the rumors and the legend that is this secret organization that kind of meets amongst the trees. But yeah, it's kind of implied that he made this deal with the devil, and then we get to see kind of a depiction with it later, or with this group, that perhaps the devil was in attendance to this. And because of this, he had to pay the ultimate price, and perhaps that's what happened to his wife. And then maybe is confirmed later. But it's really interesting. I like the occult aspect that it's bringing into, what would normally be kind of a happy show. And they run by it pretty quick with a lot of exposition. So that does kind of take people out, that they set up a lot kind of really quick before it gets into it. But once it starts going, it's kind of, it is essentially a talk show. So I don't know. Both of those are kind of right up my alley. I used to love, I was kind of raised on Conan and I guess Coast to Coast AM, which is, basically they would deal with like a lot of occult and alien stuff. So and conspiracy theories. So I don't know. I kind of used to listen to that before I'd go to sleep as I was a kid. So I don't know. All of this kind of hit on a level that worked for me, that I haven't seen depicted in film before. But I don't know. Was it kind of a lot for you with all that exposition? That it just kind of dumps on you right away?
Actually, the opposite. I was about to ask you if there was enough of that, because I would argue that it's really kind of bookended with that occult stuff, because it's the beginning before the show proper starts, and then, third act stuff starts happening, and then you get reminded of with I don't know whether or not their visions or what really happened is kind of up for debate, and I don't know if that was enough for me.
Well, I don't know. That sucks, because like I feel like it was just right, where I kind of knew where they were going with it, but I do have kind of a background knowledge of the claims that this organization has. And then for Patrick, it was just way too much. He just hated the exposition dump, like right at the beginning. It
so
completely
funny.
took him out. So he was just out of it from the beginning. And then sadly for you, you wanted like a bit more. I don't know. Interesting.
But,
we all experience this very differently.
But like the way they present it, it's, I don't know how you would give me more in the middle without like one of his guests being a cult member or something, because the way it, with the exception of commercial breaks, which that you kind of have to suspend disbelief a little bit, because they go behind the set, and there's conversations and things that are going on while they're at a commercial break. That yeah, whatever. I'm willing to, just look the other way in regards to that because it helps move the 90 minutes or whatever it's supposed to be along. I don't know. For as much as I'm saying, it felt a little too little, bookended. I don't know where I would put more in, and to hear somebody say that it's too much, it's kind of fascinating.
And I don't know, because he kind of keeps bringing up the AI exposition thing. So I think it might be the performance of Michael Ironside that really takes him out, because he is trying to like kind of get that like gritty kind of 70s documentary kind of. It's, I guess, a bit hard to explain, but I can get why that voiceover would turn him off. But man, it's Ironside. Like I don't know. For me, I'm all about it.
Yeah, Emily said that it was very much like Ghost Watch, and we have it queued to watch on our next day off. I thought it was neat, and I don't know if people thinking it's real will make me feel better or worse about something, but it certainly falls right in line with stuff like Blair Witch, Cannibal Holocaust, and it's not so crazy. It's by crazy I mean I don't know, too realistic. Where it's this gray area where like, ooh, those people really died. It's like, no, that's the guy from Dark Knight. He would have been 5 when this actually happened. So no, but I would rather watch Late Night with the Devil than Blair Witch. It's certainly something you could return to. I do like some of the editing gimmicks, if they, for lack of a better description, they have like, the glitching and the interference and stuff. If anything, there's a special effect in the third act when things start really popping off where it is a little obvious that CG is used, and it's not layered within this, crappy VHS from the 70s thing where you could tell like, all right, that's CG, but I don't know if it's enough to say it ruins anything for me. I just recognize that. I mean, it's a low budget film. There's 75 producers and distributors.
Yeah, that's what took me out of it. The only thing that got me out of it was the fact that there's like 10 minutes of production studio logos and whatever you want to call it, like videos of their actual production company before the film even starts. But yeah, the effects, they kind of worked for me. I like that they're doing kind of this, I don't know, it's not the best version of kind of putting a VHS effect on top of it, but yeah, I think had they actually transferred to like a VHS or something, those effects would have blended in so much more. But they really stood out against whatever they're using to try and make it look analog.
Yeah. What'd you think of the way the show played out? What he does. So the background of the found tape is there's 3 guests. It's a Halloween show, and he has like a psychic or a medium who speaks to people who've crossed over. The guy who he has a check where if you.
I love that guy. So he's the Amazing Randy type. So there is actually this famous like magician mentalist. He was the Amazing Randy, and then he kind of turned the corner on his career, if you will, and decided that he's now going to debunk a whole bunch of people that really were kind of making these claims on paranormal. And he did offer, I think at one point it was $1 million to anybody who could come into his lab, and upon I guess sufficient testing and prove paranormal, he would actually give them a check for $1 million. So I like the fact that they included a skeptic character that is from that world of deceiving people and has now decided to use that knowledge to kind of point out other frauds. I really dig that.
Yeah.
But that was the character that our friend hated the most. So I guess he's polarizing. Did you hate that character at all? I think his name was Haig.
I didn't hate him so much. The missus did. She thought it was a bit much on his end. But I didn't think of this when we watched it, but you're right. There was the guy with the who bent the spoon. I do remember that sort of history. And now that you bring it up, I do remember it. And, you know, it doesn't, because something really happened, shouldn't affect whether or not I enjoy something. But he is a bit much, but, you know, he's on a Halloween episode where they're having all of these people. And I mean, he has a check in his pocket. So, you know, it's part of the way he sells merch and books too. So, you know, they're there to do a television talk show and also to get booked for other things. So it's not too far out of the realm for me. I just wish the way things played out in the third act weren't done the way they were, because I mean, I guess it makes it ambiguous for people if you like to walk away from the movie and be like, ooh, did it happen? Did it not happen? Because of what he does in that third act, it kind of, I don't know, it makes everything possible for the ending.
I think it spells it out pretty clear. Like upon rewatch, I don't know, it just solidified what I think is happening. But there are a ton of different interpretations of it. I know I've seen like at least a dozen or so on YouTube so far, and I'm sure it's not going to end. But I think there's one that really kind of makes the most sense to me. But I don't know, because of everything that they set up in the beginning and like what they show you and kind of the symbolism that you keep seeing. I could be wrong, but yeah, I think it's pretty definitive on what's happening at the end.
Okay. And the third guest is an author who's, I don't know, what is her technical term? Because she's with the younger girl at, is her guardian? Is she her guardian?
I think she is her guardian. And I'm trying to remember exactly what she is at this point. I know she has like hypnotic abilities, but yeah, I can't remember exactly what they have her billed as.
Yeah, because when she calls, I think both her and the young girl call out the skeptic, like, listen, I have a doctorate or something like that, where it was neat. There's something that I thought, like right when they had her on the show and she was speaking to the host, in my head, I'm like, these two are like, I'm glad it didn't really do this, but I thought that there was going to be this angle where him, the host of the show, and the author were having some sort of affair or something. And when there's that,
I mean, the little girl kind of implies that she really likes him. And,
yeah, but you know, in a future tense, not in a past tense.
For sure.
She says something like she thinks you're pretty or something like that, and I was like, oh, good, because the way my brain was going was they're gonna say that these two are having an affair, and this is the reason why I don't know that his wife died or something like that, and I'm like, please don't do this. And it didn't. Spoiler. Sorry, guys. But I like the way it plays out. I mean, the only thing I would have a gripe about is it was very themed for an episode of Late Night Talk Show. You would think you would have a comedian, a music guest. They're all the same type of guests in there. And I don't really have a gripe.
It was a Halloween show.
Yes.
Like in their defense, it was supposed to be the big Halloween event that's supposed to rival Carson, or attempt to.
No wonder why he's in second. Marcy.
Yeah, I think Carson would have done some variety. And they did have a singer that was supposed to be on as well.
Oh, you're right.
You know, may or may not have ended up being on. No spoilers.
Yeah, try your best to traverse it. Yes, Marcy, 10 Danish kroner tak. Yeah, so the medium is the first guest, the skeptic is the second, and somewhere in between the commercial break of the skeptic, some things are reported, and it kind of alters the history of, or excuse me, it alters the way things are going to play out. And the skeptic seems a little cautious for the remainder of the show until the third act. And when the author and the girl who's possessed show up, he's a bit of a dick there, and kind of going out of his way.
He did have his jacket ruined at one point, so he wasn't having the best evening.
Right. And I don't hate any of it. I mean, I have nitpicks for tiny things. Another thing for me, like I said, I gave it 3 out of 5. I enjoy it. It's something that if I miss it, I don't necessarily need to see it again. I won't turn it off, but I'm okay with it. I don't hate it, but I guess it could go in either direction. I did notice somebody said it in the chat before. There were visions, and I noticed one backstage once, and I was like, wait a minute. I know who that is.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of hidden all throughout this. So I am actually interested in seeing it. I've already seen it a couple times, but I definitely could see this becoming like an annual watch.
Okay.
I'm really digging it. And there's a lot of like kind of layered performances that are going on. Like Carmichael Haig, the skeptic guy who is on there, he is meant to be like this annoying character, and the host literally hates him. And like his relationship between Jack Delroy and just kind of how he's treating him kind of behind the scenes, not really talking to him, getting mad at his producer that he's even involved in this. I like that. Like it just seems to be adding so much. Like these aren't kind of one-dimensional characters where it'd be so easy to have like just a one-dimensional skeptic guy. But like, I don't know, he has nobody championing him or anything like that, and he's playing it up huge to the crowd. I can definitely understand why that turns off some people, but I really dug his performance, and David Datsmalchin, his performance as well. But we haven't talked about kind of the co-host either, Gus McConnell.
Yes.
I just loved that Andy Richter-esque character. I just think his performance and like his really that character, you can see kind of layers to it, and he has this religious side, and he doesn't like what they're doing, but he is subservient to the host. I do like a lot of the performances in here, and the guests really come off as authentic to me. But I guess our mutual friend hated almost everybody's performance except for Gus, the co-host. He did kind of like him and the host, but that's about where it ended, I believe.
Yeah. What happens with the co-host is like I totally felt for that character, because the dude didn't want to do certain things. He didn't want to be there. I think he calls it sorcery, what's happening. And he's the dancing monkey, so to speak. So he's got to play along with some of these, I don't call them gags, but some of the things for the audience, he's got to help, and he's not about it. And I totally felt for his character, and it was quite sad seeing him, the things that were happening to him towards the end. How do I?
Yeah, and I guess it's a little unclear what exactly happens to everybody at the end, because the ending it is, I guess, a bit controversial. Definitely have seen that polarizing as to people liked it up until the end, and I don't know. For me, it really works, but I can understand why people wouldn't like it. There's a couple kind of twists that it pulls on you, and I guess some people could really not enjoy that, but I thought it was done really well.
So
I'm trying to think if there was kind of anybody else that we didn't talk about in there. Oh, sorry, Lily, the little girl, the one who is possessed, who's from the cult of Abraxas. She's the only survivor. I thought her performance was awesome as well. I think a couple of times she kind of goes between kind of normal and then her possessed state. To me, that was completely believable, and I really dug her performance as well. I think that's kind of what really struck me about this film is, I don't know, I really like the layered performances by a lot of these actors in here.
Yeah, do you know, like, I'm going to put up an image for those of you who haven't seen the movie yet. It's probably been butchered to you now, but I want to touch on spoilers for a second. I'm going to throw up the image of the poster. That will be the spoilers. In post, I'll do something different. But when the image comes back up the second time, we will not talk about spoilers. So this is your warning. So we're going to do spoilers now. If you're still here, it's your fault. Okay, so what about the third act? Are people like bailing on it, so to speak?
So I think it's from essentially when Carmichael Haig kind of does the hypnotism on Gus. They feel like that kind of broke things, is at least some of the criticism that I've heard. And then from there, you kind of go to the next bit of hypnotism, if you will. And then, apparently some people really don't like how... I guess it wouldn't be a Brexis. It would be a follower of a Brexis who's taken possession of this girl. Is kind of taking over, and how that plays out. I've heard criticism of it's really bad CG, and what they chose to do with specifically her head is not working for a whole bunch of people. And then the fact that they just go into, I guess that would be the most horror movie part of it. I don't know. To me, it's a little questionable as to whether that actually happened or not, because of where it kind of takes the main character right after that, where it kind of takes Jack. I'm not fully convinced that that played out exactly as we saw it, and it's not kind of a repeat of the Gus hypnotism type trick, that's just what we're experiencing. I don't know. It is somewhat open to some interpretation. Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't like that. It's not completely definitive, like, oh, this is what happened. It's kind of a confusing series of events, whether the first part of it actually happened or if it's a little bit more like the Worms thing. What was your experience with the end? Did you enjoy it? I
wouldn't say that I disliked it. You brought it up. I just wish there was something a bit more definitive, because the skeptic doing his trick with the guest host, I feel like that kind of makes it like, oh, the end can be a trick as well. Where, I mean, listen, it's all fiction. What the hell does it matter? But I felt like it took something away from the ending, but I don't hate it. I just, every now and again, I prefer you to tell me what's the story, what's the ending. And this just kind of muddied it for me. I don't know if that wasn't there, or if something happened to the skeptic while he was doing that, or whatever. I don't know. It'd probably be a half star higher for me. I don't hate it. It's just, I don't know what the term I'd be looking for is. It just makes things a little mushy, cloudy. Because when the host has his vision, it could be perceived as just a trick as well. And when they show you like flashbacks or whatever, and he's like signing the deal with the owl head people, I don't know if that's supposed to be like reality, him reminded of the past. Because it like there's a portion where it goes to like old episodes, and he's like, "Get me out of here, I'm in hell," or some version of that. And the second that he was to stab someone, I knew we were gonna like snap out of it, and he was gonna
and like Chekhov's gun. He has that big pointy, deadly knife. At some point it's got to come into play.
Right. And I just. I don't know. I give movies a hell of a lot more credit if I can't see it coming, and I'm not that smart, so I guess that's what be better than me. But
yeah, and there's a couple of points that are kind of brought up in the comments. I guess it's kind of jumping all over the place, but Marcy brings up, does the black and white section of the movie make sense? Even though it's trying to be like this found footage thing, no, like none of that really makes sense to me. To me, I'm going with it we are, why would there be high quality footage? Why would anybody archive the footage of what's happening in between the actual show? Like, we're supposed to be actually watching, this show, so it should just be what's entailed in that. That being said, I love his interaction with the producer. I love kind of getting an insight into, his relationship with Carmichael and how he hates this guy. I like, how he's kind of being urged on by the producer to go a little bit further, that they're actually getting ratings, that the whole switchboard is lighting up. I think all that stuff adds to it, but as to why it's necessarily in black and white or anything like that, it doesn't really make sense to me. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be. So I don't know if it's a thread that they didn't really put in there, because at the end they do kind of show that there's like kind of a documentary crew running around when everything goes to hell.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just kind of cut that and didn't really explain it, and maybe that was supposed to be a conceit that we were supposed to get in this, but yeah, to me it works, even though it shouldn't. It should take you out of a found footage film for sure.
Yeah.
It's not clearly what was in that broadcast.
I take it as a narrative device. That's something that like you need, like, it's not nonfiction. It's they're trying to tell a story. You can't, I mean, you could try to do it. I mean, all of these movies, Blair Witch Project, all of them, all of these found footage movies have some sort of narrative device where it doesn't make sense why there would be cameras on them. And like, it shouldn't take you out of it. If it does take you out of it, they're not doing a good enough job of, I don't know, blurring the line or what, but they need to move the story along. And I'm okay with, that portion being broken, because you would be like, well,
how far are you okay with that? Because as Jacob kind of points out, it definitely breaks the format, and we are an objective audience, but we're seeing the inner workings of his head. Does the other part where it kind of, or where we're seeing like the worms thing with Gus, I don't know, does that take you out of it? Because there is kind of a conceit that's kind of built into it that, the entire studio audience was hypnotized with this, including a lot of the audience at home. So even us watching it would have been hypnotized by it. So we're kind of seeing it that way. I know that's one interpretation that I've heard of it, but I don't know. Were those issues with you, or were you able to get past those?
No, I was all right with it, but I'm hearing you describe it now. It's one of those movies that I could find new value in it with, looking at it closely and things. If it's done well enough, like the in between commercial breaks, that stuff, I'm fine with it. I really, how are you supposed to make time move along? It's fine. If I can watch it again, and hearing you say that the studio audience is supposed to be subject to all of it, then why, it makes sense. Why wouldn't us watching at home? It makes you second guess, like, ooh, I've been hypnotized as well, and maybe all I'm seeing is just in my head. It's a neat little extra twist on things, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, and there's a couple more of those in here too. But as Dice points out, like even during the Gus scene, there is somebody who yells out, like, "Why is Gus acting so silly?" But that does kind of show that like not everybody was susceptible to this.
Yeah.
There's another character who's dressed up as a skeleton the whole time, who Jack tries to talk to a couple different times, and he just will not respond at all. A lot of people are kind of theorizing who that character could be as well. I don't know. It is kind of interesting. I'm not sure if I fully am on board, but I guess the theory is that character is the devil. So I don't know. I'm not sure that it's not just some dude in a costume, but he does seem to show up in the visions at the end, where a lot of the audience does not. I
did think that the Halloween 3 costume, the skeleton guy, because he was, or they were getting a lot of the screen, where I'm like, this has got to be for some reason. And I do. I do think Gus acting silly. Lily is already hypnotized, though, isn't she?
So Lily, I don't believe
Is that the
is
younger girl?
susceptible to it at all because she has the whatever the follower of Abraxas that is inside of her, Mr. Wriggles, I think. That seems to be protecting her from the hypnotism. She does not seem to be falling for it. And there's a couple people in the audience who said that they didn't see it as well. So apparently not everybody is hypnotized, but it does kind of bring into question if the events that we're kind of seeing at the end actually happened or if the hypnosis is possibly still going on. And Jacob points out, like, the hypnotist is dead. I'm not sure that's how hypnotism works. Like, you know, we wouldn't get Office Space if that's the case. You know, the hypnotist dies before he can release Peter from the thing. So he's now the cool, laid back dude. I'm not sure. If he released him before he's gone, then maybe. But I don't know. It's still a little bit... It's a little bit ambiguous, but there's another thing. So they mentioned that Jack took off like a month between when his wife died and then when he came back to the show. And there's a lot of people who are theorizing that he went back to the Grove and he made a second deal. And that's what the voiceover is talking about at the end, where it says, like, you know, you met me between the trees or in the trees. And that this is actually him getting the second deal, that he would actually be able to beat Carson. He is in ratings for this, but, you know, like the devil's in the details, so to speak. He is getting his second thing. He is getting what he asked for, but it's coming at quite a price.
Yeah.
I don't know. From hearing a bunch of the different interpretations, it really makes me want to watch it again, kind of with new eyes looking at this.
It is fascinating hearing all these interpretations of it. I mean, I can tell you from experience that I've done shows with hypnotists where I saw the people arrive and they weren't plants or anything. And these people, you know, took their clothes off, they put their bra on over their shirt. Like, they were just doing weird stuff. And it's fascinating what the hell it is that they can do. And some people aren't susceptible to that, and, you know, they tell them to go sit down. And I like the visual representation of what these people are supposed to be envisioning in themselves. You know, it's a movie. If you're just watching somebody who is just like, oh, there's bugs all over me, it's not really taking advantage of the format. And I think it's certainly possible. I've seen it, but I'd much rather the video, you know, take liberties with what we're supposed to think. Did I lose you?
No, sorry. I was reading the chat for a moment. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's definitely not a perfect film, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I guess I'm having trouble, like, saying what part of it works, but it seems to be, like, right in my wheelhouse. It's dealing with the occult, it's dealing with horror, it's dealing with talk shows, and I don't know. I really like the combination of it, the conceit of found footage, but not going super into it. Like, we're not just looking from, you know, some CCTV camera. I don't know. I do dig it. There are some things in the end that I like the ambiguity of it. I guess that's what is drawing me back to it so that I could see it again. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not a perfect film, but I think a lot of these performances just kind of bring it over the top for me to where I would give it a strong 4 out of 5. I think it's my favorite horror of the year so far, but, you know, it is only April.
Yeah, I think I would say that, but I've only seen 10 movies so far, so that's not really saying much. Yeah, I mean, if I end up watching that Ghost Watch thing and, you know, hearing all these theories, it's fascinating. I wish it weren't a gimmick movie, but yeah, and by gimmick I mean like this whole found footage thing. Because I'm wondering if you could even tell a story like that without it having to be this like pseudo found footage angle, because a lot of it does play in, like, I don't remember Emily was asking me why 1977, and I'm like, well, if it bleeds, it leads was a big thing in the late 70s, and this kind of plays into that because
Yeah.
a newscaster.
It was also kind of a tumultuous time.
Yes.
There's this really cool video kind of on it. I think it's Evil Explained. But he kind of goes through and he kind of explains the significance of the 70s in this, that it is kind of as it was dubbed, the me generation, where it was really focused kind of on self in a way. And that's really what a lot of this is. It is Jack being focused solely on Jack. And I don't know. I think the setting in which it's put really adds to it for me. You also have like the turmoil of like Vietnam and a whole bunch of stuff that had happened just before this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Halloween night, so I think they were also looking for a year that did line up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about them checking calendars and everything. But yeah, I said it before. It's a movie that I could see the score changing for me in one direction or another. But I don't know what will happen in the future in regards to that, but it's interesting to hear how much people are talking about it. And it has, if I'm to assume right, it's not really so much about the AI. It's just images that were AI. The controversy isn't that they used AI, is it?
From what I understand, the only thing that they've fully said that they did use was 3 AI images, and it was kind of the coming back or we'll be right back, coming back from commercial, going to commercial type images of the owl, or I think one of them's a scarecrow, one of them's a skeleton that has too many fingers. But as far as I know, that's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is the spoiler portion. Here you go. This is to mark that. Again, I gave it 3 out of 5, but I don't know. I have a 9-hour flight, 3-hour train ride ahead of me in 4 weeks. So I don't know, maybe I'll get around to it again. But Gray gave it 4 out of 5, and Patrick gave it 1 out of 5. So it's all over the place. And I think movies like that kind of turn me on to them a bit more when everybody has such a different interpretation of it. Because I like that rather than everybody hates it, everybody loves it. There's just like, some people like it, some people don't. Some people think it's incredible, some people hate it. I like that. That's the way things should be, instead of like this hive mind mentality. But beggars and choosers.
I think the only thing that we didn't point out that DICE kind of did was there's a whole bunch of kind of hidden ghost images that kind of keep showing up from place to place in here. I think you mentioned that you saw one of them, but it's another reason to go back and kind of check it out. They do have kind of a few like Easter egg hidden ghosts in there as well. But not a perfect film. I thought it was really enjoyable, but to some, very off-putting.
Off-putting what? Because it was realistic? Like,
That's the Ironside thing that I don't know. Patrick keeps coming back to the exposition at the beginning and the AI. So I guess he doesn't like that performance. But the main criticism that I've heard aside from him is the ending. Just it's a bit polarizing. It kind of comes out of the found footage type, if you will, and then they really take it to the other pedal to the metal, if you will, compared to the rest of the movie. I don't know. Some people really didn't like that, and they didn't like that. As Jacob was kind of pointing out, you get to see what's going on in his head, supposedly. I don't know. I really like that, and I like the symbolism that they put into it. Like, just the owls there's so many.
Yeah,
they're everywhere. And then that layer too, like also when you find out like what Abraxas is, I don't know. There's just so many layers that I see in this, but some people aren't seeing those. They just kind of see it as a failed attempt.
Yeah, I agree with you. I tend to lean on your interpretation a little bit, or your thoughts. I like that we see what's happening in his head because, like I said, you have this film medium that, if you're trying to just do it as a documentary, you can release it to television and take away some of the cinematic element of it, and it's not real. If they're trying to present it as real, kids are really stupid. Um, and fill in the blanks with what the person's seeing in their head. And again, it makes it more cloudy. It certainly it leaves things vague and ambiguous for interpretation, and it's where I have room as far as good or bad. Uh, Hilarious to see film. Hi, Cody. Film Twitter pull an about face on the movie within hours. Greatest thing ever. One day, next day, they're taking it behind the shed with a shotgun over the AI.
I saw kind of the same thing with Civil War as well. A lot of people were praising it, and then kind of the posters, people started to call out that all of those were kind of AI generated. And yeah, I just saw a whole lot of the support for that just go away. Yeah, people really don't like this AI thing.
A lot of people work in the design industry, it seems, huh?
Yeah. I guess, nobody wants to be replaced by a robot.
Well, I understand that. As a tool, I wouldn't mind using it to a certain point, but I mean, how are you supposed to have images of, Texas being terrorized other than altering it in a computer? So I don't know, to a certain point, it's like, don't be silly. They could not have the image in there, and you could complain about your believability being ruined or something like that. I don't know. The things that people complain about are just so ridiculous sometimes. Speaking of complaining and being ridiculous, Lisa Frankenstein, which is written by Diablo Cody and directed by Zelda Williams, daughter of Robin. And here is the synopsis. If you can't meet your perfect boyfriend, make him. In 1989, a misunderstood teenager has a high school crush who just happens to be a handsome corpse. After a set of playfully horrific circumstances bring him back to life, the two embark on a murderous journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts along the way. That's it. That's an interesting premise. I don't know if that's the way I would say it is. It's a 3.4 or 68% out of 100 on Letterboxd. I have it at 3.5 out of 5. Gray, what was your take on Lisa?
I can also give it 3.5. That being said, I really enjoyed it, but I think there's a lot of kind of issues with this one. But I think that's a decent score. I'm excited to see what Zelda Williams does next, because this was kind of her debut. But I think 3.5 sounds right for me.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's new wave film version of the 1980s. I cannot get the meme out of my head of neon bedroom on the left side and wood paneling and brown. It's a meme where if I find it in post, I'll put it up. It's like, oh, so you grew up in the 80s with like this backdrop. And it's like, no, I grew up in the 80s and it's wood paneling and a hyper, romanticized version of the 80s. And it's weird. It is very weird with how the story is told, because like she hangs out by the cemetery and she makes a wish saying that she wishes she was with what looks to be a Frankenstein character, although some of the letters are sanded off on the tombstone. And I don't remember how he comes to life. I know
there was some lightning involved, if I remember right. But
was it lightning? Yeah, because I know that the tanning bed is the way things happen later on in the movie. But it is very snappy and flashy in the first act. Diablo Cody voice is certainly present, and I thought I was gonna kind of grow tired of that, but it settles in. It doesn't go so hardcore Juno on everybody. And the visuals are very gorgeous. They're pretty pictures. They're very. Somebody compared it to Tim Burton, and Tim Burton. I would argue that Tim Burton doesn't like color nearly as much as this movie uses. More grays and extravagant versions of rain, whatever that mood is. That's a Tim Burton thing. But this is, bright and fascinating, extravagant versions of 80s characters. And
it definitely has Burton-esque features,
Sure.
but it is like a fluorescent Burton, if you will. It's very fun. I like it visually.
Yeah, and Cody just said it. It was like Heather's plus Edward Scissorhands.
Jacob points out Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Burton. You're not wrong. It is kind of the mixture of the goth with that version of Burton. Sure.
Yeah. See that it is dark humor. That's certainly the Heather's angle. The issue I have with not issue, I gave it 3.5 out of 5. I just feel like the character doesn't suffer. The lead character doesn't suffer any sort of karma for the things that she ends up doing, and she kind of gets a happily ever after, and it's kind of shitty, all things considered.
Yeah, I think for me, it's really the ending. It just feels like it dropped the ball at the end, but I was digging it, and I was on that journey, and then just the end let me down a little bit.
Yeah. There is that moment when Dr. whatever, Frankenstein, whatever, Drool, whatever the hell his name is in the movie, when he comes back and she's like, oh, no, I wanted to be like you, like dead. I didn't want to be with you. And I was like, ooh, are they going to do a friend zone movie? And they don't. And it was kind of frustrating because it would have been interesting to see, a platonic friendship that doesn't really have to lean on romance. And my man's cucked, and does some interesting things by the.
I mean, he's ill-equipped for most of the movie, so I mean, it factors in. And Cole Sprouse is just billed as the creature, so he's just the creature throughout this movie.
Thank you, Dice. I appreciate that. The fact that Lisa gets, I don't want to say everything she wants, but the creature ends up doing a bunch of things for her. They end up doing things together, but she wants to have relations with somebody in the film who ends up he has other intentions, and she's pissed off in that moment. And so she gets the love of her life in the creature with the member of the dude she was swooning over. And that to me is like a cake and eat it too, where literally, where I just feel like it's kind of a get out of jail free card of sorts, where it just,
I guess it's worth pointing out that when Diablo Cody wrote this, it was supposed to be an R-rated movie. In fact, they filmed it as an R-rated movie as well. When Zelda kind of came in to pitch this to her, her being the director of it, she mentioned, why don't we do it 2 different ways? And then she specifically used the scene that you were kind of talking about, where unfortunately the wanted love interest isn't interested and then loses a part. Apparently they filmed it very graphically, so they decided a couple different ways that they could show it to make both the PG-13 and the R-rated version. So what we ended up getting is the PG-13 version of this. Perhaps there's some story elements that also weren't able to transfer over. I'm not 100% certain. I didn't see like the shooting script, but apparently all the way up until shooting was completed, they they hadn't decided if it was going to be R or PG-13.
I still don't know if that would make me feel any better about it. So she suffers loss right from jump. Her mother gets murdered with I think it's in the prologue, if that.
I think so.
And her dad ends up marrying someone else, and she has a stepsister. And
Well, I thought her performance was really good. I think it's Lisa Sobrano. I thought she did really good on what could have been a really one-dimensional, evil stepsister who's the popular one. There's kind of layers to this, and she does seem to care for Lisa.
I agree.
I really kind of liked the character and the performance in this. And then also the evil stepmother, Carla Gugino, just amazing, always amazing. But I really liked just how, I don't know, with such limited screen time, she's definitely memorable and very cruel to Lisa's character. And you can definitely understand the situation that kind of Lisa was in and why it would have played out the way that it did. But yeah, I think there's some amazing performances in this. Also, I didn't call out Cole Sprouse, but for having, I think, like 3 lines in the very end and a couple single words, yeah, it's a pretty awesome performance. I don't know. I really like a lot of the acting in this whole film. I don't think there's a performance that really takes me out of it.
No, I agree. I just... I don't know. The complexity is kind of fascinating. It's something I like. That, like, the fact that the stepsister is popular. She's like the high school cheerleader and has a bunch of popular friends. And anytime she tries to bring Lisa around, everybody's like, ugh. That was neat, and it gave layers to her character. I mean, the stepmom was as shitty as any Disney stepmom would be, and yeah, I'm wondering now that you said that if this were rated R, how much Carla Gugino's character would kind of mess around with Lisa's dad, and if there were any sort of extra scenes that were shot, because there is also this bizarre angle where the father and the stepsister have an interesting relationship. I don't know. It's kind of something where I found myself cockeyed a time or two where I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah. And I forgot to call out Joe Crust as well, but man, that dude, he is just like the ultimate like 80s father, apparently. I don't know. He's great as that role. I can see why he keeps getting typecast in it, but yeah, it also seems like layers to that. I was also questioning his relationship with the stepdaughter, but perhaps he is just I don't know, that character and everything is on the up and up. But I don't know. I found a very layered performance in what he delivered. But yeah, that dude's always consistent.
Yeah, and again, I'd like to discuss spoilers. So the image is going to go up again. That's your spoiler warning, and the image will go back up again when we're done. But spoiler warning for Lisa Frankenstein. Okay, so the fact that she is kind of pining for the school jock. I don't know what else to call him. I'm just going to use old tropes and stereotypes. Like, she's really into this guy and he's kind of nice to her, but it turns out that he's got some sort of thing going on with her stepsister. And this whole time, this dude comes back from the dead for her, and she's like, oh, I just wanted to be dead with you. I didn't want you to, I didn't want to be husband and wife. So the way that they kind of do this platonic relationship was kind of fascinating. But the more he started killing her enemies, for lack of a better term, it was interesting, but I wanted to see it happen mutually. And then when she ends up killing the guy that or he ends up killing the guy that she was into, and takes his dick and puts it on the monster. So she gets the love of her life after dying, and the penis of the guy that she wanted to have relations with. And she doesn't really do much for the monster character. And I don't know. I thought it was sweet when listen, sweet is a bizarre word to use, but when the guy that assaulted her got some extreme comeuppance, I thought that was in the realm of this universe. I thought that was nice, or welcome. I don't know the terminology I wish to use, but it's. I just wish she had done more for the Frankenstein character, the monster, whatever, and it wasn't so typical romantic ending. I don't know. There were no real stakes to anything.
I mean, I guess you could argue that it's romantic. She got her wish from before. She is joining him in death, in undeath. I don't know exactly what you'd call that, but I don't know. It really seemed to drop the ball for me at the end. I think they could have built up their relationship more, her kind of having an interest in it, because it does happen real quick where she just kind of switches from one to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that was kind of I don't know. Really, the third act just kind of let me down. I was willing to go along with, okay, so if you sew something on and then you get in this magical, tanning bed, all of a sudden you're good to go. I don't know. I guess I was willing to join for that, but yeah, it just seemed a little odd to me. I don't know. The end just kind of took me by a little bit of surprise where, all right, I guess Cole Sprouse is kind of learning all throughout it and is becoming more human-esque, I guess. But yeah, where just out of nowhere, he's just kind of reading poetry. I don't know. I think the ending could have been a little bit stronger, but I think a lot of the character work in this was just amazing to me. There's so many things that could have been like one-dimensional characters. Like we kind of mentioned her assaulter getting his comeuppance, but like just the whole performance by that dude. I don't know. It feels like that could have been super one-dimensional. Just like, okay, this is the creepy guy, but I don't know. It takes a turn. It goes from this is the super helpful guy, this is that friendly guy. He's not here to party like everybody else, and then it takes like this turn.
Yeah.
I kind of like that it was willing to do that with a bunch of these different characters, and you kind of get to see new sides of these tropes that we've seen a bunch. But yeah, I wish it stuck the ending a little bit more for me. But yeah, I thought the choice of music and everything visual in this was just amazing, and every performance in this, there weren't really any that took me out. I want to praise like almost everybody that was in this, but the mains were just amazing for me. I think that's one of the reasons why this ranks so hard, because I think if you put this ending on almost any other film, I think I would have ranked it a lot lower. But yeah, I am excited to see what Zelda's going to do next. Just for this being like a debut performance, I don't know. I really want to see what she's capable of once she finally matures into an amazing filmmaker. I'm sure it's going to be visually spectacular. I just hope she gets the right script for the next one.
Right. Jacob asked, would you say when you say mutually killing, you mean her killing people on his behalf? Perhaps.
Some of it they do together. It's a group project, but yeah, fair enough.
I don't know that. Like, I don't want to Monday morning quarterback it, but maybe he gets caught for somebody's murder, and she, makes that problem go away for him or something. I don't know how much different it would make it for me, but it seems like he's doing so much for her, and when the movie starts, she wants to be dead, and she wants to bang the high school newspaper editor guy. So she gets all of that. And the dude that she wasn't really into in the beginning. So it's just, I don't know. I perhaps him having her do something for him, and they do perform their murders together sometimes, but I kind of wish it was mutually beneficial, I guess is what I would say, because it's really all kind of for her.
Yeah. It does seem like the stepmother would have been kind of mutually beneficial. Like if he's caught, of course, that's going to cause all sorts of problems. But she's also kind of tormenting, Lisa here. So I don't know. It feels like they could have gotten more out of that particular one. But yeah, I do agree with you. It doesn't seem like it is mutually beneficial in most of them. I would just point out that one in particular.
Fucking Cody. I think the message is that anyone can escape their friend zone if you're packing a big enough dick.
Yeah, I mean, that is one takeaway. Dice also mentioned another one that, a lot of people are putting this as kind of a trans allegory because, it's an at-home gender-affirming surgery, if you will. Fair enough. But, yeah.
But
that's going to put some people on warning, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, your body parts can be replaced. Young Adult is the only film of hers, that's Diablo Cody, that feels completely uninhibited, and it's still the best film she's ever been involved in for that reason. Yeah, Young Adult was...
I have kind of issues with that. I'd like to rewatch that one. I only saw it once and didn't really care for it, so I don't know. I want to take another look at that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, you're kind of saying this was supposed to be an R, and I guess when Zelda kind of came in, she kind of put that PG-13 bug in her ear. So I don't know. I would like to know what this would have been if it was Diablo Cody's full vision of it, but I really like seeing Zelda's vision of it, so I don't know. But apparently the DVD may have the R-rated version or R-rated scenes at least. So yeah. I don't know. We might get more of an idea.
At least deleted scenes. Yeah. I mean, what do we make DVDs for then if not?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I do like the slight homage to Robin Williams with the suspenders guy in the movie. That was a nice little touch. But again, what Dice brought up earlier, Robin Williams, for those of you who don't know, used to have suspenders, and they were rainbows. And I guess you could look at it from multiple perspectives in the movie, but I would assume at its core, it's Zelda paying homage to Robin Williams because he would wear those quite a bit when he was performing in the 80s. Oh, so Dice says...
That sucks. Yeah, sorry for talking over you you want to say what Dice said.
It's fine. I have the Blu-ray. Unfortunately, I found no R cut or scenes. That's awful.
That was the rumor that it was supposed to be there, so I was actually looking forward to that one. I was thinking maybe I'd pick that one up. That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, sorry for lying to everybody.
I mean, you have a reason to think that because a lot of movies, they just put it on the Blu-ray, put it on the DVD. That's really shitty. What a letdown. But
yeah, especially since they had a whole thing in a lot of the press where they were talking about specifically the scene in question where the gender affirming surgery happens afterwards. They didn't just show it in shadow. Apparently they filmed it every which way that would have been the super hardcore version. But yeah, that's too bad. Apparently that footage exists and they were talking about releasing it. So that really sucks that they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they found the line quite a bit with the massage, the back massager. Like they were certainly skirting things. So why not? Why just, I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of studios and I don't know, a lot of people. You should know Diablo Cody by now. Just start respecting your audience a bit because John Hughes did in the 80s and nobody ended up doing anything ridiculous with their, I don't know, a bunch of John Hughes movies from the 80s treated teenagers with a certain amount of respect, and I don't know why movies have done less of that over the past 20, 30 years or so. It's strange. It's strange being here in the UK where sex isn't really that big a deal. And then I go back home and tampon commercials have blue liquid again. And it's just so weird. Yes, released it.
Got different sensibilities.
Yeah. I mean, there's commercials here where they will show like, pubic hair and stretch marks and just things that you wouldn't think would be on commercials in the States. They are here because it's people's bodies and it's not really that big a deal. It's just strange that you can have a PG Die Hard movie or PG-13 Die Hard movie, but talking about sexual encounters is considered R-rated. It's just I don't know. I agree, Jacob. Next time Diablo Cody wants to do something R-rated, she should stick to it. Maybe Zelda didn't. I don't know. Zelda Williams, this is her first rodeo as far as a studio film is concerned, right?
Yes. I think she did kind of a... I know she's done shorts, and I think she did something somewhat independent, but I don't think it was feature length. But this is her first foray into definitely studio filmmaking.
Okay. All right. So that's the spoilers. Lisa Frankenstein. Gray, I appreciate your help.
Thanks for letting me talk about this. I've been kind of arguing with our mutual friend about Late Night with the Devil all day. So it was fun to talk about it. I really enjoyed you letting me kind of guest on here. But thank you, sir.
Yes, and thank you for being the guinea pig.
Well, I guess let you go to Love Lies Bleeding, as I know nothing about it, but I'm excited to hear about it.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, see ya.
All right, doing everything at once. All right, Gray is no longer here, so there's that. Okay, so next is, where are you? Where are you? You're not here. Dun, dun, dun. This is bad. Nope, nope, nope. Is that it? Not it? There it is. Why is this not working? Oh, I broke it. I broke it. Okay, Love Lies Bleeding. Directed by Rose Glass. Written by Rose Glass. Co-written by Rose Glass. Excuse me. Synopsis. Revenge gets ripped. Recluse gym manager Lou falls hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder headed through town to Las Vegas Let me do this all over again. Reclusive gym manager Lou falls hard for Jackie, an ambitious bodybuilder headed through town to Las Vegas in pursuit of her dream. But then their love ignites violence, pulling them deep into the web of Lou's criminal family. Yeah. So Letterboxd has it as a 3 point. That is not right. Why is that frozen? It's not. There it is. Why did that do that? Everything's shutting down now. Yeah, it's 3.7 on Letterboxd, or a 74 out of 100. And this could be the most bizarre of all the movies that I'm talking about today. And I just thought it was kind of quirky in the beginning. Right away from the hairstyles, things are peculiar. Although the more and more I see people with that there's quite a few hairstyles that have come back around here in the 21st century. A lot of mullets and silly hairdo, and Ed Harris just rocking a skullet, some long hair. The hairdos are just so silly. And I don't mean that in like a comedic way. They're just, your attention is drawn to the way these people look right away. And for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, it feels like the movie has some sort of old school Blood Simple Coen Brothers type feel to it. It's gritty and it's bizarre. Kristen Stewart's character Lou works at a gym and is interested in Jackie, who is a bodybuilder, and Jackie ends up working for Kristen Stewart's father, who's played by Ed Harris, and it turns out that he's doing quite a few illegal things. And so Kristen Stewart's character introduces performance enhancing materials to this Jackie character. And while this person is bodybuilding, they start having effects from these steroids that, to me, they resemble, I don't know, like hallucinogen. Like I don't know what type of drug would do that, but I've had steroids. Granted, they've been steroids with anti-inflammatory, so I'm nobody to talk. Cortisone doesn't do any of that. I could assure you of that much, at least. But there's like a really, really trippy thing that happens early, and they fall for one another. They fall for one another relatively early in the movie, and they start staying together. A lot of what they're doing is they're motivated to help the Jackie character to not only bulk up, but to go to this competition in Las Vegas. But some things happen, hijinks ensue, and they have a mutual relationship partner, relative, that causes conflict that they need to address. And then it really gets to be like a Blood Simple type movie. But in the third act, this movie really, really leans into the hallucinations and just bonkers stuff. And I don't know what I feel about it, because it's not like it's out of nowhere. If you've seen what is it? Not Split. The third one in this, not Split, but the Glass. If you've seen Glass, like they kind of do something similar to the dude who's all strong. It's something similar to that, but then it goes 20 yards further in the third act. And I'm pretty sure there's absolutely some Coen Brothers inspiration. And I don't know. I've seen somebody as I read it in Letterboxd, somebody compared it to Lynch. And I'm not incredibly well versed on my David Lynch, but I wouldn't put that past the movie either, because it really feels like a Blood Simple reserved kind of, even Fargo, because it does have some dark humor. I think Fargo is a lighter version of Blood Simple. Blood Simple is more of a neo-noir, whereas Fargo is a bit more black humor. And I don't know if that's just the way I feel because of the accents, but we quote everything from Fargo just because of the way they speak. So that's where we're at. And by the third act, things just go banana sandwich, just absolutely banana sandwich. And I don't know what I would do to either change it or if at all. But did I say what I gave it? I told you what the world thought of it. Yeah, I have it as 3 stars. I don't know what I would do with the movie for the third act to make it better or worse. Well, if I did anything to it, it would make it worse. That's objective. But I think I wasn't prepared for the left-hand turn it takes for the third act. And there's something that just seems right out of a 50s movie for a crucial part of the story. And I don't know if I feel like that's a shortcut or not, if it's just this gimmicky, bizarro thing to, get them out of a situation. But again, I don't know how I would change it for the better. So it's fascinating. Whatever movie you think you're watching 45 minutes in, it's not that. It's certainly going to be something completely different by the last half an hour or so. It's bizarre. It is bizarre in so many different ways. And I saw somebody call it a horror movie earlier in the week. I would not call it a horror movie. It is like a Coen Brothers movie with some bizarre shit happening for the third act. It certainly feels like a David Lynch type film for the third act stuff. Just bonkers nonsense. And I'm curious to know, least dark, Jacob, thank you, Fargo. Second darkest, Blood Simple. Darkest, No Country. Yeah, No Country is pretty, I don't want to say reserved, but yeah, I felt Blood Simple vibes from this movie right away for like the first 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Because you knew they were going to get into some sort of situation that they were going to have to figure. And yes, that does happen in No Country for Old Men too. So it's not unlike any of those movies technically, but yeah, I would say its first half is closer to Blood Simple and not No Country. And the third act is, I don't know what I would call it. Again, I'm not incredibly well versed on David Lynch. Jacob gives it a 4 out of 5. The only one of these 3 to get more than a 3 out of 5. Interesting. Blood Simple, Red Rock West, Bound. Interesting. Why? Is it just because it's a gay relationship? What else about Bound? I mean, yeah, Bound is incredible. I love that movie. How long do we have to wait before dude bros get upset that they're a woman bigger muscles than on? How long do we have to wait before dude bros get upset that there's a woman with bigger muscles than them on screen with Stewart? Oh, that goes further in this movie. It's dude bros are going to be really bothered by this movie for a couple of reasons. And it has nothing to do with Kristen Stewart, I don't think. The one issue that I have with this movie, as far as technically speaking is concerned, is Kristen Stewart to me, I can't put a read on her acting style. There are times where I feel like she's just not doing anything, not adding anything to the character. And there are times where I don't expect her to be as incredible as she is. Personal Shopper, I love her in that movie. The one where she's the the soldier at Guantanamo. I love that movie. But there are moments where I just feel like she's reading lines and not so much acting, if that makes any sense. But it's an interesting film. It's another movie that I'm not sure I wouldn't ever watch again. As a matter of fact, I might be intrigued to pay attention a bit more, especially for the second half, because it just goes in a bizarre direction. Jacob, the femme masculine characterizations, some of the shot compositions are very bound. Okay. The Western neo-noir backdrop is very Red Rock West. I have not seen Red Rock West. Personal Shopper and Camp X-Ray are probably her best performances. See that? I know how to pick them. Camp X-Ray. Thank you for reminding me of the title of that movie. But yeah, Personal Shopper definitely. Camp X-Ray, I think too many people slept on that movie. But there are times where I feel like, I don't know, she's just there. I don't think she's adding anything. I wouldn't say she's taking anything away. I just feel like she's reading lines. I don't feel like she's, transforming the role at all. And I don't know. I gave it a 3 out of 5. So it's not like she ruined anything for me. I think the score is partially based on the fact that I had certain expectations and the film had other ideas for me to take in from that movie. So there's that. And that is, where are you? Nope, not here. I don't know why I did that. Nope, that's not that. Yeah, it's Love Lies Bleeding. Is this going to be such a clusterfuck? I don't know why it's not there. Yeah, that's it. That said, Katie stole the show. Katie, who played Jackie, yes. I agree. She was in a television series that I watched, and I don't have it with me in front of me. Bad job. Charlie boy, bad job. Okay. So that is it for my little Rent and Rant segment. I want to thank Gray for taking part in 2/3 of this. I will try to get footage in the future, and if you see the video come up, it's slightly different. I may have added either video or some sort of voiceover element, but it's this for the most part, unless I see something that I'll be able to dub in. But yeah, thank you to those of you who watched live, and I don't know what the future is for live streaming on this. I don't know how to get, I still don't know how to get images on the screen. So we've solved a slight hurdle with audio. I'd like to go back and hear, because the volume looked like it was at different points during the stream. So I'll have to check and see where things are and if I need to tweak it all. But at the moment, I don't have a way to get other people on the screen. We'll see. I can keep doing homework, but yeah. Let's go Rangers, huh? Hello, Sarah. You came just in time for me to leave. Thanks, everyone. We will see you soon. Soon? Nope.